Your match mentality is the frame of mind that shapes your attitude, thought process, and decision-making in competition. This mentality will determine how you respond under the pressures of competition. Some players allow certain circumstances to affect their mentality in match play. For instance, having to play an opponent who is much better than you, or playing an opponent who everyone knows you should beat, can cause added pressure on you, affecting your match mentality. In this situation, we have a boy competing against a girl, both players fairly similar in skill level. Especially for the boy, this can be a difficult circumstance to maintain the frame of mind to build points. If he is not careful, he may fall into what we call a mentality trap. The boy in this situation has fallen into what we call the go for broke mentality trap, putting the pressure on himself to try to end the point on nearly every swing of the racket. This mentality surfaces when a player tries to blow an opponent off the court, but also can happen if a player feels that by keeping the ball in play, the opponent will end the point first, so I better go for it now while I have the chance. As a result, players in this go for broke mentality have trouble with consistency. Frustration usually sets in as they produce far more errors than winners and wind up beating themselves. The other extreme mentality trap is the tentative pusher mentality. In fear of making errors, a player with this mindset may be consistent but has difficulty controlling points and is always in a defensive mode. Unless the opponent self-destructs, the tentative pusher will have a hard time winning points, especially at higher levels of competition. Learning to build points and establish control in point play will help both types of mentalities to get back on track winning matches.
Two types of players. The offensive player who wants to go for broke and hit a winner on the first ball. Player number two, the player who's going to keep the ball in play all day long and just wait for you to make a mistake. I want both of you players to add a little bit more of strategy to your playing style. Notice, a little bit more of strategy, not changing. The player who goes for broke on the first or second ball, don't do that. Let's hit 3, 4, 5 shots offensively. Instead of going for a winner on return to serve, go for a good solid placement. Take the short ball and then do something with it. Against a pusher, you're behind the baseline and that ball is sitting there. Don't go for a line ball, go for an offensive ball that makes that pusher run for their life. And after doing this and applying this type of philosophy, you will be causing a lot of forced errors, and that's the name of the game. The pusher. I'm going to keep it in play 4 times. I'm going to keep it in play 5 times, 6 times. During that rally, you had an opportunity to do a little bit more with the ball, and you must take advantage of that opportunity. Why? Keeping the ball in play too long will backfire. And why will it backfire? The player on the other side, the offensive player, is going to say, hey, all I have to do is be patient with this pusher, because eventually they're going to give me the ball that I can hurt them. And you know why? That pusher's not going to take advantage of any mistake I make. And you, the pusher, 5, 6 balls against that aggressive player or against the ordinary player. And you had a ball that you could do something with. What did you do? You got it back in play, ran back to the baseline. You said, I know they're going to miss this one. It doesn't work that way. You must do a little bit more with those offensive balls, and the big aggressive player, be patient. If you got out today and we went to a tournament, you went to practice, and you played one of our girls or one of our boys, and they just pushed, but they never missed. They're going to get every ball back. What would you do, Elaine?
I think the best thing against those players is go to the net.
Just go
and volley.
Just move right in. Would you try to move a pusher, though?
Yes, definitely. Move him around and then finish the point at the net.
That's very good.
Unfortunately, I feel I play a little too defensively, and I need to get a little more aggressive in my game, a little more, serve and volley, but that means I got to be in a little better physical shape.
Building points is a mentality. Use your style of play. Let's create a combination of shots to create the opportunity to end the point.
To best understand how the concept of building points works, think of all your different strokes and shots as individual players on your team. Each player on your team, your serve, return, forehand, backhand, and all your other strokes and shots have a role to play on the team, and together they will work through the course of a point to create the best point-ending opportunities.
Before I start the point, I actually think before I hit, what am I going to do? For instance, I might do a serve out wide, the guy might hit it up the middle, might take a backhand or inside out forehand to the backhand corner and put the volley away. That's just one pattern. Another pattern might be a kick serve to the backhand and then a forehand cross court or a volley cross court. I like to play the points before I actually do play the points, if you know what I mean, in my mind.
In the building of points, we have 4 key elements: the start, the setup, the opportunity, and finish it, all in your style of play.
Learning the 4 phases of a point will help you understand the objectives for each of your strokes and shots and organize them into a game plan for building points.
All athletic events have a starting point. Football, basketball, the car race. Tennis is no different. It starts out with the serve and a return to serve. We do not want you to lose the race from the starting point. And that's what this video is going to show you. You start it with the serve, and you start it with the return to serve. That's the starting point.
Phase 1, the start of points. This includes the serve and return of serve. Your objective on serve and return should be to get the point started and try to establish control off the first ball. Inconsistency in Phase 1 is usually the result of players using the serve and return to try to end the point, which causes too many errors. Adjust your mentality by reminding yourself that the serve and return are intended to start points, and avoid going for too many aces and winners in Phase 1.
The setup is the rally to create the opportunity ball. Now, to create that opportunity ball may require 3 shots, 4 shots. It's the same scenario that takes place in basketball. They pass it around, they wait, boom. They got the opportunity to take advantage of it. The same philosophy applies to tennis. Create that opportunity through the rally.
If neither player advances to net behind the serve or return, then the point progresses to Phase 2, the setup, which is nothing more than the baseline rally. Oftentimes, points break down in Phase 2 when players become impatient in setting up the point. Mentally, you should be prepared to hit as many shots as necessary to create an opening in the court or an opportunity ball to work with to begin finishing the point. Your objectives are to establish offensive control through the rally and to maintain good court position so the opponent doesn't get any open court opportunities. To best accomplish these objectives, you should apply what you learned in Winning with Your Game Part 1 by using the patterns and shots that are best for your court position, finding correct recovery behind every shot.
Now with your big ground strokes, are you beginning to add a little something to your game, even though you don't feel that the volley is your game? Are you starting to?
Yeah, I'm starting to, already before I hit my big shot, it's like I know I'm going to hit it there, so the guy is going to be hopefully in defense, so I would like to try to come in still, but I think I'm still too slow coming in. I don't think it's my volley that's bad. I just get caught either right at the service line or even behind the service line. So the things that I have to learn how to try to do is hit the ball and sprint forward and then do the split steps and then be ready.
What about knowing you're going to come in before you get to the ball, Tommy, so that your momentum's going forward?
Yeah, I think about that before now.
The opportunity ball is a ball that you can see, you can feel, and then do something with offensively within your style of play.
The whole purpose of your work in the rally was to create the opportunity ball, which is Phase 3. Opportunity can present itself in different ways and can be any situation that allows you to begin closing out the point. The most commonly recognizable opportunity is the short ball. Often the result of you hitting a penetrating ground stroke in the rally, the short ball presents the option to advance to net on a forcing approach shot, or for some styles of play, go for a put-away winner. The second opportunity is created through shot combinations in the rally that result in pulling the opponent out of position or putting them on the run, which leaves you with an open court opportunity. Open court can also result from the opponent hitting a shot that was not good for their position in the court. Another opportunity comes about by the use of a short angle or a drop shot that pulls the opponent out of position to continue the rally, bringing them into net in a defensive situation. This creates the opportunity for you to hit either the passing shot or the lob.
Just be prepared for the next shot right away. You know, most people, they expecting just waiting for the ball, you know, the opponent to hit the ball. The good players, as they hit the ball, they already know what's coming back. So they're anxious to go to force your opponent right away, like Rios does or Sampras.
The choices that are made in Phase 3 with the opportunity ball set the stage for what occurs in Phase 4, the finish of the point. A very aggressive shotmaker style player is more likely to try to hit winners with an opportunity ball rather than advance to net. Other styles of play will prefer to approach net on the opportunity ball, putting the pressure on the opponent to hit a winning passing shot or lob, make a forced error, or produce a shot that can be put away with a volley or an overhead. Learning the objectives of the 4 phases of building points should help you better understand the roles for each of your strokes and shots and how to best apply your skills in match play.
Do you go into battle with your game plan, or do you try to change it, or you just go in and say, I can do this, or do you go in and say, I know what they do and I'm going to play according to that? What do you do, Tommy?
Pretty much you know everybody's game, so the thing is that I try to do is to go out in the game, you know, in the court and just play my game. If it works at the beginning, I just continue as doing it. If the guy is just playing way too good, or he has a game plan that I'm not aware of, then I have to try to change mine. Just keeping the ball and play longer, or play some slides coming in. But usually I just stick to my game.
Many times you will be involved in points that don't progress through all 4 phases, but understanding the objectives for each phase will help keep you prepared. Some styles of play have a way of eliminating certain phases of a point. For example, if you serve and volley, there will be no setup portion or rally involved in the point. That is an example of using a tactic to alter the flow of a point in efforts to put immediate pressure on the opponent. The length of points will vary based on styles of play, the tactics and strategy that are used, how many shots it takes to create an opportunity ball, your ability to finish points, as well as the court surface you're playing on. Another aspect that determines the length of a point is when the building process breaks down as the result of an error.
I hear the old saying, well, gee whiz, if I just keep that ball in play, eventually I'm going to lose a point because the opponent's going to put it away. If you say it that way, just keeping the ball in play, I agree with you. But I'm not saying that. What we're going to show you in this video is keeping the ball in play with a purpose. You're going to move the opponent, you're going to hit it back behind him, you're going to hit spins, you're going to hit short shots. That's what we mean by keeping the ball in play. And you're going to do that until you create that opportunity for the ball that you feel comfortable to do something with. And you know what? Quite often, keeping the ball in play requires you to be in a little better physical condition as well as mentally, to stay into the game and wait for that opportunity. So don't tell me keeping the ball in play means you're going to lose. But keeping the ball in play without a purpose, you probably will lose. So we're going to change that mentality.
Most players who know how to apply strategy and compete well love to play against opponents that always go for big winners. Why? Because winner-oriented players are really competing against themselves and statistics. Unless they are having an unbelievable day, most of the time the winner-oriented style opponent will accumulate far more errors than winners through the course of a match. Playing this type of player calls for a simple and basic strategy. Play consistent and take every opportunity to force the opponent into difficult situations for them to have to hit those winners to beat you. So don't let a few winners by the opponent in the beginning of a match frighten you out of building points. Stay on your game plan and remember that the percentages are on your side. If the opponent does happen to rise to your challenge, hitting more winners than errors from those difficult forcing situations you created, you know you've done the best you can do. The opponent was a better player that day and deserves the win.
Just sort of focus on you, or do you pay any attention to the opponent?
I don't really pay attention to the opponent. I play my game. I mean, if he beats me that day, it means I wasn't able to beat him. He's better that day. But I think I just, for the match, I just focus on my game.
I think when juniors play a match, a lot of times they forget about a checklist, and that is the ratio of unforced errors to forcing shots are to winners. So in other words, if they're beating themselves, they have to have an awareness that, hey, I'm not getting enough balls in play. Let's get that ball back in play. And a lot of times that's good enough. On the other hand, if a player is getting the ball in play and they're playing against a player that has some weapons, then and that's not good enough, then they either have to add pace to their own shots, get the ball deeper, or maybe move that player a little bit more in a way where they're not always on the defensive end of the point. So having a checklist of their winners or their forcing shots along with their opponent's forcing shots and also unforced errors. So I think all of those come into play as far as knowing what is happening and who's doing what to whom in point play.
Well, I think first of all, it's a matter of the coach taking a look and see what characteristics are that they already have genetically built in. If they're big and strong, then we might push them more towards all-court player serve and volley. But you know, instincts tend to always come out. They always say you can't change the stripe on a zebra, and you want to try to put them in a stressful situation, and then talk to them about it afterwards and say your instincts pushed you behind the baseline, or either your instincts brought you in based on the stress level.
They have to know their strengths, what they do well, what they're trying to establish out on the court. They have to know their weaknesses, a way to cover that up or camouflage a certain shot or aspect of the game that they don't do well. So in other words, an aggressive baseliner, someone that likes to hit big forehands, needs to understand that when they play points, they want to control the point with their forehand, either by sheer power, if they're consistent, or by using patterns.
I think there's two types of strengths. One strength is a controlling part of your game. If you've got one stroke that's more consistent than the other, that's a strength in itself, being able to keep balls in play all the time. It's your controlling part. It's to set up maybe a big weapon that you have. If you have a huge forehand but you don't get it in a lot of times, it's something that you need to develop. You need to work on it. You wouldn't consider it a weakness, because I think power is also one of the other strengths. So you've got consistency being one of your strengths and power being one, and then trying to develop both of those to complement each other. As part of our system here at the Academy, one of the things we do at a young age with our kids is try to make sure that they develop all the skills necessary that's going to take them through all their levels of play. It also helps them to determine which style they're better at and which style maybe they have a little bit of weakness in. For instance, here we're doing a serve and volley, first and second serve, for a complete set that we actually record down. So it's not their style of play, but they're developing a skill that they might even use as an option later on when they're playing against an opponent that necessarily doesn't like somebody attacking, and they're finding themselves getting beat at the baseline, so they can change their game and play a different style that attacks the weakness of their opponent.